Welcome to NET JRF Scholars YouTube channel. In the previous video, we have looked at number system from ICT, where we have discussed about the positional, non-positional number system, and in the positional we have looked at binary, decimal, octal, and hexadecimal number system. In this video, this is an introduction to the logical reasoning unit for UGC NET Paper 1. After this, we will look at the many important topics from the same unit so that we will finish at least 30% of the syllabus in the 3 videos, which are very important and repeatedly asking questions from this unit. So let's get started. So the basic concepts in logical reasoning, first we need to understand what is a logic. So logic is a science of evaluating whether an argument is correct or incorrect. So logic is basically it's a science. What it do? It evaluates an argument either correct or incorrect. It means it a science. It evaluating a process, not whether the argument is in reality correct or not. So its main aim is to understand the science of argument rather than saying whether it is correct or not with respect to the reality. Okay, that is what argument in for us in UGC NET examination. So argument is a group of statements including one or more premises and only one conclusion. So as I said, logic is a science and it's evaluate arguments. So to call something as an argument, because every party wants to win or prove their argument, right? So to prove their argument, they need to provide premises. Okay, their argument is their what they want to prove is nothing but a conclusion with some supportive arguments. Those supportive arguments or the statements are called as premises. Okay, it may be one premise, two premise, three premise or more, but there is only one conclusion because the aim of a person to prove this conclusion using these premises. As you can see here, there is a statement, 3 statements here, and this is an argument. All birds have wings. A sparrow is a bird, therefore a sparrow has wings. So first he is saying all birds have wings. A sparrow is a bird. So being its bird, the sparrow must have the wings. So the argument is a sparrow has wings is the argument, is the conclusion. That is supported by all birds have wings. So a sparrow is also a bird, so it should has wings. So it is the argument, it is the conclusion supported by these 2 premises. And next statement, a statement either true or false. Okay, Delhi is the capital of India. True, it's a statement. 2 plus 2 is equal to 5. It's false. It's also a statement. Okay, so almost it means that most of the sentences which states about the facts or the statements apart from the conditional statements. Okay, next, prepositions. Preposition is also a statement or sentences or phrases that can be judged to be true or false. As you can see here, we are not pretty sure, but we need to judge either to be true or false. So as you can see here, the earth revolves around the sun is true, but we are judging all squares or rectangle. False, because squares all sides are equal, whereas in rectangle only 2 sides are equal. So there is a difference, but we presume, we judge that these sentences are also correct. These are the judgments of other statements, whether they are true or false, not exactly or related to reality. Next, we have premise. Okay, now we look at the argument and explanation distinction. So in the argument, as I explained, we have premises, okay, one or more premises and one conclusion. So the premise provide reason or support for the conclusion, so it makes stronger the conclusion as it supports to the conclusion. So conclusion indicates of what the arguer is trying to convince the listener or reader. Why a particular person argue? Because he argue to give you, to convince you on one particular point by providing multiple premises so that it support his argument. As a result, you believe or convinced that he is right. So this what logic, and this is what argument, premises plus conclusion. So only one conclusion for one argument, because you only argue one point and provide the premises for the one conclusion for one that argument. As you can see here, I have given an argument. All students who study regularly scores well. Ravi studies regularly. It means Ravi score well. So there is no error structurally, and you can make sense of it, right? So even the sense, the semantic, the sense of the argument is also very logical, because all students who read regularly scores well. It's a premise one. And P2 is Ravi studies regularly. Here these are prepositions, right? Prepositions. It means you don't know whether all students who, like, let's say you are sure that it's a logically correct, all students who study regularly scores well. Ravi studies regularly. Do you know that Ravi studies regularly, but you are presuming that it is true. As a result, you are giving a conclusion, Ravi scores well. Okay, so it is what a preposition is. Okay, so you presume or you judge to be true, and the structure follows and the argument stands. Okay, two premises combinedly give to a conclusion that Ravi scores well. Next, explanation. It is very, very important. They most of the times they will ask in the examination, because in the form of statement 1 and the statement 2, and which of the statements are correct, one about the argument and other about the explanation, and in most of the times they change the definitions. Okay, keep this in the mind and study these two differences very properly. So it is intended to show why and how statement is true. Here you need to focus why and how. So explanation intended to show why and how a particular argument is, a particular statement made by the arguer is true. Next, explain why something is the case also involves the reasons. Okay, when I say why, it means you're also giving the reason, right? But unlike an argument where the conclusion is the new information, whereas in argument the conclusion is always in new information. As you can see, you don't know that Ravi scored well, but because of these two arguments, you are saying, like the arguer saying that Ravi scores well, and you are believing structurally it is correct. Okay, so that is the argument, and in the conclusion you will get a new information, whereas it's different in the explanation. As you can see, the road is wet because it's rained last night. So here, as you can see, there are two statements: the road is wet and it rained last night. So there are two terms, explanandum and explanand, as in premises, conclusion. So here the conclusion is always also new information, right? The new information in any explanation. So the road is wet, it's clearly visible. Okay, because it rained last night. So you are presuming, you are arguing about, you are explaining about the rain occurred last night. Okay, by looking at the road is wet. So this is your explanandum, and it rained last night is the new information. Okay, new information in the sense that it is not new as in this, because you do not have any idea about Ravi scoring well. But here, when road is wet, you can clearly how the roads become wet. So it's rainless is just the explanation or the expansion of what he argued is supported by the two statements. Okay, so it's a new relatively when compared to the other statement, not in comparison or as new with as argument. Okay, next we have inference. So in most of the people confuse inference with the conclusion. Even in the examination they ask about the inference. It means nothing but the conclusion, but there is a small difference. But whenever they asked about inference in the examination, you presume that it's asking about some conclusion. Okay, there is nothing to worry about it. I'll explain the small difference, but in the context most of the time they used it as an alternative term for inference. Okay, inference, it's a process of reasoning. It's a process of reasoning from premises to conclusion. So when you get from premises to conclusion, it means an argument, and this process of getting from premises to conclusion is nothing but an inference. It's a activity, it's a process. Okay, and sometimes is also called conclusion. So there are two types of inferences, where conclusion is drawn from the one single statement or one single preposition, then it is called as immediate inference. If the conclusion is drawn from the two statements, then it is called syllogism or mediate inference. Okay, as you can see, all roses are flowers, right? So we can conclude that these are the flowers, right? These are the flowers. Okay, from all the flowers or some flowers are roses, because this set is the flower set and some space occupied by the roses. It means that some flowers are roses. So I draw the conclusion some flowers are roses. So if you getting to a conclusion based on one statement, then it is a immediate inference. Here, as I said, where the conclusion is drawn from the two statements, all humans are mortal. Okay, and Socrates is a human. It means Socrates is mortal. Socrates is a human being and all humans are mortal. It means that all humans are mortals, right? So even the Socrates is also mortal, because Socrates is a part of the human class. So Socrates is also a mortal. And such type of arguments are called syllogisms or immediate inferences. But the syllogism concept is very, very important. I am going to make a separate video on syllogisms. So these are the important terms and concepts, okay, for the logical reasoning chapter. In the next video, we'll look at the argument closely and its type, deductive, inductive, and further divided as sound, unsound, valid, invalid, and then sound, unsound, and inductive divided as strong, weak. Okay, and again two types and again one type. So we will look the arguments as a total in our next video, and after that we will look at one more chapter, that is syllogisms. Very, very important. These three videos almost covers 30 to 40% of the syllabus from this unit. So please focus on these 3 videos from the logical reasoning unit, so it will help you to at least attempt 2 to 3 questions. Thank you. Please subscribe to our channel NET JRF Scholars for more interesting videos for UGC NET Paper 1. Thank you.